Hi, I'm Maria. Welcome back to my channel. So in my last video, I talked about walking away from what I called the exhaustion Olympics, that toxic culture where being burnout somehow become this weird badge of honor that we all wore. And your response was incredible. So many of you shared your stories, and honestly, reading through those comments, I kept coming back to this one question: what does success actually look like to me now? And that's what I want to talk about today. Not just what I left behind, but what I found on the other side. Because when you stop chasing everyone else's definition of success, you have to figure out what's yours actually is. And when you're doing this later in life, it feels completely different. When you're 25 and you decide to reinvent yourself, everyone expects it. But when you're in your late 30s or even older and you start questioning everything, people get uncomfortable. They have gotten used to who you are, your family has built their sense of security around your consistency, your colleagues have put you in a box, even your friends, they know how to relate to stressed out you. It feels like when we are younger, we can just burn it all down and figure it out later, but now we may have some responsibilities, so the luxury of complete reinventation is even more challenging. So you end up in this weird middle space where part of you knows that the way you've been measuring success is making you miserable, but the other part of you is afraid to let go of it because it's the only system that you know. In my experience, I had a lot of red flags in my old job in healthcare. This one I remember particularly. I was sitting in a meeting, listening to someone talk about some administrative nonsense that wouldn't make any patient's life better, and I had this thought that none of this matters. I'm selling my time here for things that don't help anyone. That's when everything became clear. I realized that I was constantly swimming against the current and that the priorities of the leadership were never truly aligned with actually improving conditions for staff or patients. I felt like I was fighting a system that wasn't designed to be fixed. If you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing my channel, give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family. Now, let's get back to the video. That's what happens when you start questioning the game you've been playing for decades. Once you see it clearly, you can unsee it. And walking away isn't the liberation story that you imagine it will be. A few months after I quit my healthcare job, I was in Thailand sitting on the Bangkok metro, watching people going to work, and everyone was checking their phones, and I felt this bizarre mix of relief and panic. Relief because I wasn't part of that system, of that rush anymore, but panic because I had absolutely no clue what I was supposed to be doing with my life. When you spent years defining yourself by your job title, how busy you look, your stress level, when all that disappears, you're left wondering who you actually are underneath all that performance. During this journey, nobody prepares you for the fact that redefining success can be incredibly lonely. When you choose differently and stop participating in the collective exhaustion, you realize that how much of your social connection is built around shared stress, how much of our conversations revolve around being busy, being overwhelmed. I noticed that some friends stopped asking how I was because it was easier to connect with me when we were all vibrating at the same energy of rush and daily problems. When I stepped out of that, some relationships changed. When you stop complaining and actually make a change in your life, not everyone knows how to handle that. Some people don't know what to talk to you about if it's not shared misery. I had to work on this in myself too, because I also stopped wanting conversations that just ran on autopilot. Once I changed my life, it was natural that some relationships would shift, that some people would fall away because we no longer share the same thoughts and ideas. Maybe in a few years we will find our way back to each other. Nothing is permanent in this life, and friendships I believe they evolve as we evolve. The other thing is, after nearly 20 years of doing the same job, following the same routine, having the same security, when you step away from all of that structure, you're essentially starting over as a beginner again. Suddenly, you're trying to learn new skills, failing at things that you think should be simple, and there are definitely days when, even though I don't regret my decision, I think about how much easier it would be to just show up at my regular job, follow the same schedule, do what I have always done. And the hardest part isn't the actual failing, it's managing the frustration that comes with it. Not letting that voice in your head convince you that you made a terrible mistake. Not letting the fear of failure paralyze you from trying the next thing. I'm learning that when I fail at something that I care about, it stings, but it also teaches me something. And when I fail at someone else's definition of success, I just feel empty. Some people might think that just because I changed my life and left the conventional rat race, I became lazy or I lost ambition. But I didn't lose ambition. I just redirected it, my focus to what actually matters to me. I stopped saying yes just because everyone else was saying yes or because it looked good. Now I realize that when I'm not desperate for approval, I make better decisions. When I stop saying yes to everything, my yes starts to mean something. I'm making less money than I did in corporate, but I'm spending much less on things I used to buy to compensate for being miserable. Less retail therapy, fewer expensive dinners to reward myself for surviving another difficult week. And I know that some of you might be thinking that this only works if you have savings, but I wasn't wealthy. But I took the money that I've been saving for someday and invested it in my well-being now. Because what's the point of the money sitting on a bank account while you burn out? And for so long, I thought that success used to feel like proving something. Was all about numbers. How many hours did I work? How many appointments I had? How many patients I watched? How stressed did I look like? Success lived in performance reviews and bank accounts, of course. Now, with some distance, I see clearly. Success is completely different for me. It feels more like becoming something. It's going to the bed with a quiet mind instead of lying there replaying the day's stress. It's waking up without immediately feeling overwhelmed by what's ahead. Success is having conversations that aren't just complainings about life and stress. It's being able to sit with uncertainty without panicking. Before, if I didn't have a clear plan, I felt like I was failing. Now I'm okay with not knowing exactly what's next. And you don't need a dramatic exit like mine. You can start with small changes. Maybe you choose one project based on whether it interests you rather than whether it looks good on your resume. I quit my job and moved to Southeast Asia, but that was my path, not necessarily yours. The goal isn't to change everything overnight, it's to slowly train yourself to recognize what makes you feel successful, not what you've been told should make you feel successful. To me, the thing about redefining success after 40 is that I finally have enough life experience to know the difference between what works and what just looks like it should work. I've tried the conventional definition of success. I know what it feels like, what it costs, what it gave me, and I realized that it wasn't enough anymore. And that doesn't mean that I failed. I decided to honor that experience in my life. It just means that I'm ready for a new chapter, one where I'm making the rules. Before, success used to be about proving something, proving that I was worthy, capable, committed. Now it's about becoming something, becoming more myself. I'm here to suggest that maybe it's time for you to question your own definition of success, because the happiest people that I know aren't the ones with the most impressive titles. They are the ones who figure out what success means to them specifically and then had the courage to pursue that instead of what everyone else expected. And once you know what success feels like for you, not your parents, not for society, but for you, everything else becomes a choice instead of an obligation. So the question here is, what does success actually feel like to you? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for listening. I'll see you soon. If it's not about shared misery. Before, if I didn't have a clear plan, if I didn't have a pen, the happiest people that I know aren't the ones with the most impressive. When you choose different, and you don't need a you don't need a